What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to talk to you about the different pieces of equipment I use, what purpose they all serve, how I use them, why I use this piece of equipment versus the other one. I hear a lot of coaches out there saying, oh, he's got all these toys, he's got all these different things, and it really doesn't mean anything, but actually every single piece of equipment we use serves a very specific purpose. So today I'm going to help you guys as coaches that are using our drills with your team have a better understanding of the pieces of equipment I use and why I use them. All right, so the first comparison between two pieces of equipment that I use is going to be cones, traditional cones, speed cones, whatever type of cones you use, but cones versus Zoids, okay? Cones versus Zoids. Why do I use cones? Why do I use Zoids? Here's why, okay? Cones I use for marking space, okay? So, if I want a player to slide from here to there, I'm showing where we're going to move from A to B, okay? So we're marking space. Or we use it to notate or signal a specific action, okay? So what does that mean? I'm marking space with these two cones to get my athletes to understand that we've got to get from A to B. How they get here depends on what type of drill we're doing. Maybe this is just a simple slide. Maybe this is our double hop. Okay, whatever that right to left motion is from A to B, okay? Now, I put a third cone, and so I'm marking space with these two cones, and then I'm signaling an action there, and we'll just say that it's change of direction, okay? So slide from right to left, attack this cone, however that drill determines, and then change of direction here. So mark space with these two cones, A to B, attack this cone, also marking space, and then signaling an action, which will be a change of direction. Okay, so we may slide from here to here, attack this cone, change direction. Okay, so we mark space with these cones or signal an action. Another common setup you may see in our drills would be fill the container. Okay, so I'm creating a container, I'm marking space, okay, I'm determining A to B, and I'm also determining the width of this drill. And then we drop these down here, and this is where we work on and signal an action. 3 cones in a row is what we call hitting the chute, or a stutter step, or chop it up, okay? So we're filling the container with quick feet, okay? We'll do it with our stick. So we're filling the container with quick feet, and then we're hitting the chute and working on our stutter step. So we have marked space or marked space and signaled an action. So we use cones to mark space and signal an action. Now the next thing we use are Zoids, okay? We use Zoids. What do we use Zoids for? We use Zoids to detail space or to detail an action. We also use them to control tempo, okay, or pace, tempo and pace. So if you notice, we have a yellow here, we have a red, and we have a green. So we have slow, we have stop, and then we have fast, okay? So we got fast on the green, we've got slow on the yellow, we've got a hard stop on the red, okay? So we can detail the space as well, okay? Maybe I'm using this drill as a jab step and get back. Maybe I'm using it to detail how I slide to the right, okay? That's called a transfer. Okay, maybe we're working something more vertical and we're going 1, 2 through, okay, and we can do it slow, we can do it a little bit quicker, and then we can do it at our fastest, okay? So we have different tempos and paces with the colors. We can also detail the space. Instead of just putting a cone here and jabbing at it, we can be very specific here, or instead of putting a cone here and saying go from A to B, we can be more specific and more detailed by saying use the Zoid to get from A to B, and we're detailing that space, okay? The third thing I like about the Zoids versus a lot of you guys will use the octagon or a circle as your agility shape. Here's what I like about the Zoids. These aren't the same, they're not symmetrical all the way around, okay? They're not equal-sided. It's not an octagon where it's the same thing all the way around, or a circle where it's the same thing all the way around. We can use these to show angle, or foot angle, or the step angle, okay? So we have 3 different angles here, right? This makes sure that my athletes are planting their foot and toes and aligning to the right. On the left side here, we're making sure that we're aligned to the left. and this would be something straight at you, okay? It allows us to show angle, okay? So we may do a drill here where I want to go right, left, and then back to our right. 3-step split, okay? Right, left, and then we're going right, okay? Versus putting 3 cones down, and your athletes with 3 cones down may just be stepping forward, 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 which is eliminating some of the left to right illusion of our body and our upper body shape. So for cones, we use it to mark space or signal an action. With the Zoids, we can detail space, control foot placement and angle, and also work on tempo and pace because they're colored. Okay, our next 2 pieces of equipment are the hurdle, and then we also use a pop-up defender by Power Hands. Okay, these are super nifty, they're durable, they're lightweight, you can take them anywhere, they pop up, you don't have to use sand, you don't have to use water, just pop up. Pop-up defender, and then we've got your hurdle, okay? We'll start with the hurdle first, okay? We use the hurdle to signal or show a defender's positioning on the field or angle based on their feet, okay? This allows me to show a defender's foot position and angle on the ground, okay? If you look at the hurdle, I like to place them this way because it's right where a defender's feet would be. So we've got 2 pieces of the hurdle coming at you, showing you where the defender is, okay? Why is this important? We talk a lot about space and time, okay? If this is the defender, that I'm attacking in a game, if those are his feet or her feet, I can't get right up to them before I make my move. They'll get a piece of me, they'll win this matchup, okay? So what I'm teaching my athletes to do is, if those are the defender's feet, I need to make my move out here so the defender lunges or false steps or has a false reaction. So now I'm using that and seeing the defender's angle, and I'm seeing where their feet are, okay? If you wanted to show a defender with an angled approach, maybe they're forcing us to one side or the other, we can change the defender's feet angle right there, okay? You can do the same thing on the other side. You can control the way the drill should flow, okay? Or maybe you're teaching your athletes to bait them to the side they're sending you and then cross over the top foot. This is a great way to do it. We get to basically control defender's feet on the ground and let our athletes picture and envision that defender's positioning, okay? That's why we use the hurdle, mostly, okay? Occasionally we use this when we do hit the shoot, okay? Because I want the athletes to stay a little bit wider than cones, okay? If you put 2 cones down on the ground here, that doesn't necessarily show me which way the defender's toes are pointed. It might show where their feet are at an angle, but this gives us a much more detailed look when I, the offensive player, am looking at the defender for the false step, okay? So that's why we use the hurdle, okay? One thing to notice about using the hurdle is that my athletes, a lot of times, because it's only the feet being marked on the field, they're a little bit lazy with their hands on their split, okay? There's no one here checking us, there's no stick here, there's nothing to avoid in the upper body. We're seeing foot angle, but a lot of times the athletes will maybe make their move and just be lazy with their hands, okay? Or they don't necessarily feel or consider the defender's body positioning or the space they take up from above the ground. That's why we use the Power Hands pop-up defender, okay? If you notice, if I just put the defender here, it's round. So it can't show me foot angle like a hurdle can, okay? It can't show me foot angle like the hurdles can. But unlike the hurdles, which are on the ground, this makes me feel where the defender's body would be, okay? So now I'm a lot more conscious of when and where I move my hands. If I get too close to the defender and I move my hands, I'm going to bump it. And if I bump a stationary defender, I'm definitely not avoiding checks in a real game or real one-on-ones. I also have other athletes where we may work on, really getting to the side of the defender. So with this, we can attack here, which would force the defender to really open their hips and then maybe we get back and we have to avoid that defender with our hands. So we use a pop-up defender to understand more of the upper body awareness of a defender, okay? We also like to use this when, say, we make a move here and we want to face dodge. It helps us to understand how to roll our shoulder, protect the stick, box out our defender, or seal them, or stack them, okay? This allows us to work on those details, okay? Swim move, great for the swim move. Here we go. Boom, gives me something to go up and over, okay? Toe drag, here we go. Here, it gives me something to go around with my hands, okay? Face dodge, split, anything like that, it allows us to understand where the defender is and their upper body versus our upper body. So this one here is about shrinking space vertically in front of us, okay? Where the hurdle is all about marking space and showing angle on the ground, okay? That's the difference between the hurdle and the pop-up defender. All right, our last two pieces of training equipment that we use are the bag and the noodle. Okay, we use the pool noodle and the bag for two totally different reasons, okay? We use the pool noodle, okay, to simulate checking in the boys' world, poke check, slap check, okay? In the girls' world, we don't deal with those checks from the time we're young. So as a girl, we have usually worked on our footwork and our moves, and our hands is something that doesn't necessarily always come natural with our movement. So I spend a lot of my time talking to athletes about their upper body shake, which is their head, hands, and their shoulders, okay? If my feet are cooking on a little move, I want to keep my hands with me, okay? So this allows me to check a player's hands. Okay, even if it's a girl player and they don't deal with stick checks, I'm still giving them an object to avoid with their hands. So as they make their move, I swat at their bottom hand. As they go by me, I reach for the wrap check or the over the head check. I can swing at their stick if it's hanging down at their hips. Okay, I can correct their stick placement and their hands by using the noodle. It's safe for guys and girls. I'm not eating slap checks, I'm not eating poke checks, I'm not getting my knuckles all busted up. It's safe and it gets the point across. It's a great sparring tool. It helps me check my athletes with their upper body movement, make sure that their hands are working on being just as elusive as their lower body, their feet, their movements, okay? Why do we use the bag? Okay, we use the bag to apply contact, pressure, or the motion of pushing or leaning, okay? So anytime a player is doing a drill and I'm using the bag, maybe I'm having them make a move and go on the run. By using the bag versus the noodle, I'm able to give them a bump so that they can train for the contact that we see over and over and over again. We're getting them to run through the bag, okay, and not avoid the bag, because we want to lean in and open the defender up to give us our offensive lane. So we use the bag to apply pressure, contact, get your players to run through the bag, get them to force their way in without charging if you're in the girls' world. And also, if you look at the bag, it's the same shape as my upper body frame. So a lot of times I tell my dodgers, when they go to split somebody or cross them over, don't go around the defender, taking a wider angle, pick one of their shoulders and go through that shoulder so that the defender's hips have to open up, and now we have aggressively taken our offensive lane. So we use the noodle to check hands, keep the players accountable with their upper body, their hand movement, their stick protection, over the head check, rack check, whatever it is. And then we use the bag to apply contact and pressure, physical leaning, right? Sometimes we lean on them for when they're working on their rocker step, but we're using the bag to be a little bit more aggressive and prepare them for the body contact, the pressure, the pushing, and how the defenders make contact and how to be aggressive offensively. With us now sponsoring a lot of programs across the country and working with more and more coaches and athletes, we found that we're still seeing some questions that we have from people using our drills, that are using our training techniques. And so we found along the way that I do find myself kind of explaining the differences and why I'm using this versus that. And I also hear a lot of people out there saying, oh, it's just too much stuff, it's too much stuff. But in reality, each of these items stimulates the athlete in a different way. Okay, a bag is about contact and feel. The noodle is about elusiveness and maybe being a little bit more creative with your hand movements. The Zoids involve colors, angles, shapes, detail. Cones are the same things that our parents used us to train, so they're the first and everything. And then we've got the power hands,
pop-up defender, which gives us a safe way to simulate drills. Maybe you have your defenders on one side of the field, your offensive players on the other side of the field. We can't always go one-on-one, and it's not always productive to just go one-on-one. So we use these different things for different techniques, stimulate the athlete in different ways. They all serve a purpose. I hope this video was helpful to you and is going to help you guys get your next practice running a little bit more efficient, a little bit more clarity, and take your players to the next level.